Hello and welcome back. We are here again for another segment of Supernatural Lifeline Revelations. I'm your host, Prophetess TNT, Taryn N Tarver, and we're throwing out amazing lifeline to you today. I'm excited about today's show because many of you are looking for purpose. You're looking for vision. And God says that his people perish for lack of vision. And what we're doing today is we're talking to 3 different people. 2 are working together, and another one who's found vision and has found purpose. One of the best things I love about this is that you can never, ever, as long as you have breath in your lungs, you can never, ever say that you haven't made it because you still have time. So I like that because people say that they're wasting time, but I'm telling you that God is calling you. So if you happen to be watching this, this is your time, this is your season. So my first guest I want to introduce to you is John Whitfield and Kiera McKenzie. Hello, you guys.
Hello.
Hi. They are the founders of Prolific Kingdom. I'm looking at their awesome book, Fatherless, and I love how they are literally uniting their community. They're bringing answers in their innovative ways, and they're talking about vision. They choose picture, words, thoughts, media, all to convey these messages. And so we're going to talk a little bit about them, what they're doing, and how they got started. And we also have Christian mommy millionaire, Chantel. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
One of the great things I love about Chantel is that I can relate to her at being a mom and having all kind of vision and passion, and then you have children. And it's like all of a sudden your total life starts to shift and you're like, wait a minute. And you might think you have a plan like right before, but something will happen during the time with the child getting here, from here to here, something may change. And so literally she joined my ministry and we started talking about focusing what she wanted to do. She's not just a mom, she's not just a wife, but she has function, purpose, and God is using every stage of her life to transform and change lives. And so she started her YouTube channel. Immediately her first day, it jumped in the hundreds, and the first day, within 24 hours, God's grace is on her, and so she literally has had such a great transformation, and she's helping people, and she has influence, and so I love this, and I'm so happy that I have you. I just want to say kudos to you for just being the woman that you are, and being willing to share your story. So let's jump into this, guys. Hi.
Hello.
I'm so excited that you're here. Finally. It only took a few months. So tell us, how did you guys come together? How did you guys get started? And where did the vision come from initially?
Well, we actually met a few years ago. He was doing a Bible study, Spiritual Warfare. And that's where we just really connected. And from there, it was like when you meet someone, it's just like you know them your whole life. Like that's how it was. So, like we were both very hungry for God. So we were like those 2 kingdom kids that just like every day, all day, revelating about God. And God began to speak to us. He's already written books even before I met him. And then God just began to speak to me and getting me ready to just the idea of becoming an author, because I'm thinking that's something I'm going to do years later. And then one day we were sitting down and we were talking about, what would the title be? And God gave him the word, one word, fatherless. And so he asked me, and I was like, And I was just thinking, I was like, I don't know. And then fatherless came out of my mouth, and I was like, fatherless. And he was like, that's what God just told me.
Wow.
And so
you guys got the same download from God.
Yes.
Exactly. Accessing the mind of God.
Yes.
I like this. So you knew that it was definitely divine.
It was definitely divine. Yeah. We were actually in a book writing like a seminar, right? And then I was like, Kiera, God has one word. It's one word. I want you to tell me the name. And she said the exact name that God put on my heart. So it was like unmistakable, fatherless. And that just began a journey of us just working, putting our Tuesdays and Thursdays together, and just compiling session after session, therapy after therapy.
Yes,
as we were just telling, we every time that we came together, it turned into a therapy session. Tears, tissue.
Mostly me.
Right, coffee, right. And then different times we would have to tell the people at the coffee shops that we were ministering because Kiera would be in tears all the time. You're not doing anything to her. That's God. That's the Holy Ghost. You know what I mean?
Literally snot nose at the table just.
So did you grow up with your father?
For me, my father was in my life, but I lived with my mom, so it was kind of visit dad on the
Right,
weekend.
right.
And so a lot of my thing with my dad is the emotionally unavailable. And so there's a lot of things that even though he was in my life, there's so much that I still didn't get.
Right.
And so we talk about in the book that orphan spirit. You still carry a lot of the orphan mentalities of how you go through life.
I'm just thinking you're bringing my daughters to my oldest daughter and my older son. They at some point decided, hey, because I was divorced, I'm gonna go live with dad. And so, but my daughter had like a year and a half to kind of like spend time with him. They would go every summer for 3 months, and they would go, because it was out of state, they would go during Christmas for 3 weeks. So they would have some time with him, that it was a block of time, and it was, but there were still some things missing. But the one daughter that was like, I'm not going, I'm staying with you, she never got to actually live with him since she was little. And I didn't realize it was really something, like what you're saying, that orphan spirit. And so God literally, his grace is so amazing. She ends up, I took her to college in North Carolina. She goes there in North Carolina. She gets a scholarship when she was visiting her dad during summer in Oregon. The guy has never seen her play before, and he offers her a full scholarship to come to the school. I don't even believe it. I'm like, send me the papers. I want to see this. Like, I want it in writing. Are you really, you haven't seen her? He said, I've never done this before. I just have a good feeling about this. So she ended up moving to that town. And then her dad lived in that town, so she was able to rekindle something and get something that she missed. So she ended up having 3 years there during a critical time in her life, and I know that that was the healing that you guys are talking about that was needed. And we can think that they don't need it, but we really need it. Being what's going on right now in our society with, especially even with like Black Lives Matter and all the situations, I had a men's talk. And in the men's talk, all of a sudden, I had someone that was 70, which was my dad. I had Dr. Eddie Connor, who's written 10 books, and we had a couple other men on. And do you know the men started asking questions about their father? When we're talking about how we're going to heal things, the questions to the panel and to the men are about their father, which tells you that the issue starts in the homes. Yes. And if we heal the families and we get the father wounds, and we have the husbands know how to treat wives and wives know how to treat husbands, it's in the house that it can heal an entire nation.
Absolutely, yeah. The grid for becoming a human being starts at the home. That's what God gave us to put the grid. And each human being is a container, right? And a child gets certain things from their mother, they get certain things from their father. You get strength by looking at strength, from seeing strength. You don't know what you're getting, but scientists say the first 7 years of your life is where you pick up all your behavior. After that, 95% of your life, you're living that out, the program you will learn for the first 7 years.
Right.
So if you haven't seen a father, where are you getting strength from? Where are you getting purpose from? Where are you getting direction from? Where are you getting that solidity from?
Culture and music and music videos, and we don't love those hoes, and they don't know. They think this is the idea, or they saw something on Power or whatever people watch nowadays. Like they get this image, and that's what sticks in their subconscious mind, whether they know it or not. And they're just acting those things out now because they didn't take the time to program their mind or read a book and find out how.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the impact you've seen since the book? Are you guys doing lectures and seminars? What are you guys out there doing with it right now?
Well, we just spent the last week doing like 8 days of prayer on the front of our church. Everybody was coming together to bring healing and wholeness about what's going on in the streets of protesting and things like that. And we just got a chance to minister, to pray. We do a lot of praying and a lot of intercession. I really love your last guest that you had on about, the presence of God, teaching people intimacy. All these are different things that you learn from the Father. And the book is not just about not having a father and not having purpose, identity. It's about the world that walked away from the Father. And because we walked away from the Father, Malachi 4:6 says, the hearts of the Father must come back to the sons, and the hearts of the sons back to the Father. But how can a son come back if he doesn't have a father? The Father, like a lot of times we read the Bible and we think Jesus was talking about himself. That we think that the whole Bible is about Jesus. Jesus is the way somewhere. He was the way back to the Father. He says, I am the way, truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by the Son. You hear people all the time talk about the kingdom, but who is the kingdom? The kingdom is the Father. The Father is the kingdom. When we make it back to the Father, where was Adam at in the Garden of Eden? He was with the kingdom. He was with the king. And he was so much with the king that they were covered in glory, the power of God.
Yeah.
So that is where God is bringing us back to. This is what fatherless brings us right back to. Jesus made a way for us to get back to the glory of God.
Absolutely.
To be covered with the Father.
This is beautiful. I love this. Just being a mom and raising 2 babies, which I mean, it's been so long for me, but I do have 5 children. So I have 5 children, so I completely get those stages. And I remember wondering, are these kids ever going to grow up? Like, you feel like sometimes you're pulling your hair out. And I had 2 back-to-back, so they were like 15 months apart, and I did it twice. So there was times but I still was in school, and I was the young one the first time. So I was like 20. I had all this excitement and joy and fire. I was still young and vibrant. And then it was different than having kids at 35 rather than having kids at 20. And I was a totally different person, you know? And I was like, oh, but it was a transition. So how did Millionaire Mommy come into it? I know you said you were struggling, like, finding your place, and you and your husband's doing the working, you're like, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom, we're trying to do the family thing traditionally so that we can have a good, solid family, but you felt like you lost yourself a little bit in there. How did that go?
I did, because I come from humble beginnings. I was the first in my family to graduate high school, got my master's degree, and I was praying to God. I was one of those people. I was like, God, please send me my husband. I want to have my husband. I want to have kids. And then here I am receiving my blessing. And then I'm just like, put my degree on the wall and just my business on the back burner, everything. And now I'm just like, oh my God, is this really what I prayed for? Somebody help me. And so, you know, after having the 2 kids and then just going through the postpartum DEPRESSION, because I don't even want to claim that anymore, it was my prayer. And you came to me. And I was like, God, just give me a village, because I felt like I didn't have that, and give me direction. And since I've been in touch with you, everything has been better. My prayer life, my patience with the kids, people reaching out to me, like you said, my YouTube channel.
Yes.
I mean, just from going from like 0 views to like over 100, just within a couple of hours, you know, and God is just moving. And all I want to do is win 1 million souls for Christ and help 1 million moms get $1 million. Amen. All while doing 1 million things, because that's what we do, right?
Yes.
As women, we're always constantly going, and I just want to have like a place and a safe haven for women to come and just get refueled so they can go and like do work for God.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even when there is a father in the house, just because he's in the house doesn't mean he knows how to be a father.
Right.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that he knows that he knows how to help even with the children. My older kid's dad was more of a help with the kids, a hands-on, like, you know, give them baths, do whatever. You're picking them up from school, whatever. Because I was in college, he was in college, so we were just like figuring it out. You know, we're just ripping around, and we bought our first house at 22. We're like trying to figure it out, and we didn't expect to have my son Aaron. I went to get my wisdom tooth taken out, and all of a sudden they forgot to tell me, oh, it's going to counteract your birth control. I was like, wait a minute, I'm pregnant. Like, I have a 5-month-old baby. What do you mean I'm pregnant? Like, I'm on the pill. Well, that pill's not working because you're pregnant. And so I was like back-to-back babies, but I had a lot of help with their dad. And then my older 2 kids' dad was just, he worked a lot. He was out the country a lot. He'd be gone for 3 months out the year. There was now 6 kids because he had 1, and there's back-to-back babies. And I'm cleaning a 6,000 square foot loft house, and I was overwhelmed. And it was a lot for me. And I was just thinking, like, okay, he didn't know how to be that father, you know? And so one had a father that kind of taught him, the other one didn't. So I got to see both. But I come from I'm a daughter with a father and 5 brothers. My dad was there for everything. Like, he cooks, he cleans, he does everything. Now, my mom claims that when the babies are between 1 and 5, he doesn't do anything. But after they're 5 to whatever, he does everything. He would do everything. So but they had some kind of commodity team that worked good. But in the process, the families, I really feel like we need more classes to kind of show families how to come together, talking to the men, telling them what the wife needs, and that this is a process together, that it's a unity, a oneness, bringing prayer back into the house and different things. But it comes from returning to the Father. He said, you have forsaken your first love.
Wow.
So until you get to the first love of God, you're not going to know how to love. You're not going to know how to discern that you're exhausted and that you could be battling depression at that time, and what are your needs. They're not going to know. Even when they do see it, it's like, what do I do with this? And if they're not connected to the Father, it can be easier just to go back to work instead of like, let me get in here with you and let me help pull you out. Let me give you a break. Let me figure out how you can do I've been working all day. Let me give you some time to go do your thing and you build too. I really think the family unit has to figure out where we are in this millennial time and this microwave generation. How do we have family? Our family's sitting down at dinner anymore. You know, where are you guys helping in some of those trainings and teachings and talks? What are you guys doing?
Well, it's crazy what you said, because like when we started studying fatherless, we found out statistically speaking that almost all the major problems that you find in the world come from fatherlessness. Incarceration, childhood drug use, just every problem you can think of all has the statistics of a father not being here. So the kid reacts in a certain kind of way because the father's not there. So we're working on seminars, we're building online classes. We're praying for people. We minister for people like nonstop. Our life is ministry. But the main thing we do is spend time with God to let him build us and work on us. So we're creating a lot of intellectual property and content around the books. We're already working on our next 2 books. One is Flowers for Women, and one is Honor for Men. All right, so we can help the women become what they need to be, and the men what they need to be. I don't want to I'll let Kiera say a little bit.
Yeah.
How do we get connected, Kiera? I think you reached out to me,
I
didn't
reached
you?
out to you on Instagram.
On Instagram?
Yeah. We were trying to just figure out how we can promote and just get the word out.
How'd you first hear? Like, you're just...
And actually, it was a few years ago. I don't remember what it was. It was a conference, but I was there and you were speaking. And so through like the fitness and everything, I kind of followed you. So I was already following you before that. And so when I was looking to see who I can reach out to, you of course came up, and I was like, okay, let me.
And God used, that's why I like Millionaire Mommy, your ideas and helping women. And at every stage that I had children, I would do something for that stage. So like when the girls were like 12, I did dance team with them, which I don't do dance, but I brought in other people to figure out how we could do this as a ministry and help other kids. But when the kids are babies, I figured out how to do something to help them. Like I opened my own daycare at one point in time. Then when they're older, I was into like all the athletics and different things. So I would really adapt so the family for the need. So and it would change as the kids got older because I grew in more knowledge and wisdom, right? But literally, health and fitness is my fishing rod God uses. So your purpose collides with your passion, and God uses it to reel in the souls. So people would come to me for weight loss. They want to lose a pound a day with no exercise. They would want to do the juicing. They wanted to do meal prep. They don't want to cook, whatever. And realistically, I had a lady just say the other day, she goes, oh my goodness, I'm down 10 pounds. I'm so excited. I'm so glad I found you. But she goes, more or less, but I've been watching all your videos online. You're going to have me all the way right. I was like, I can't even believe this. I would never watch anything like this, and I'm watching your videos all the time. And I was like, wow, God. So if people really understand that literally everything happens for a reason, like all your training, where you grew up, where you live, the parents you have or lack have, or if you were an orphan, or with you, or even Joyce Meyer, she was molested by her father, it turns into your story. And you're making your story. And this too is going to pass. Yeah. My babies were just 2 and 3 and 5, and then all of a sudden, now they're 27, almost 27, almost 24, and almost 23. And they're grown. And it was just like yesterday. It literally, I know they say it's like a blink of an eye, but at that moment it doesn't feel. It feels like everything is slow. But really, family happens, things happen, and us adapting to that is what's really important. In the adaptation, where do you see with everything that's going on with our country, where fatherless is going to fit in this the rest of the year, I would say, the next 6 months. Just having COVID coming through, that and quarantining and people having more time on their hands for a little short period of time, we've had their attention, but there's been a lot of healing, a lot of family restorations, marriage, people are really doing a lot of different things, which just probably pushed you guys to do different things. What are you guys doing, and how do you see this fitting into where everything is going?
Well, like you said, we're actually coming out with a new course in a few weeks, How to Hear the Voice of God, because really that's where everything begins. So we're definitely, a lot of what we do is a lot of content, just really a lot of content, courses, webinars. We want to start doing conferences. But even when we're out ministering to people, most of the issues that we come across is fatherlessness. And so, like he said, God building us up, because we're coming into a time where you don't even have to lay hands on people. God, you open up the heavens to allow Daddy God to come in the room, and it's done, you know?
Absolutely.
And that is the glory that we're talking about getting back to, because when you walk in that power, I mean, it took one son to change nations. You see that throughout the Bible, you know? And that's the glory that we're walking into. And so even going from the online content to in person, it's having that power to be God in the room.
And people are, they're like, my guys that are on my line, they know this though. Like, we've done deliverance, casting out demons on the screen. There's 100 people on there. We're casting out. She's getting delivered, and everybody's looking like, whoa. There's no distance between speaking the word and walking in our authority and our power. And then there's no distance also in relationally. So it's got that, like, oh, I got to be in a building. Well, right now none of us are in a building, and God is moving so mightily by His Spirit right now. He really is. Where do you see yourself going, and what do you see happening? What's the message that you want to give to moms right now, too?
The message that I want to give to moms is that I was reading today one of my favorite scriptures, John 10:10, and it was just saying that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So when you're getting those negative feelings, that's not of God, that's of the devil. But God comes that you may have life, and life more abundantly, right? Wear your furs, look good, feel good about yourself, talk about God, and I just inspire to inspire. You know, coming to my channel, I'm talking about natural remedies, things that moms go through, babies pooping right before you walk out the house, potty training, how to cook, just anything you could ever think of that a mom would go through. I just want to bring the realness of it and talk about some things that maybe some other people are not talking about, and just living for God and saying that you can live for God, you can look good, and you can have a great life and still live for God.
I love that. Wow. I love that. And I'm so glad, because I remember the first day I saw your channel, I was so excited. You were showing them devotionals, and you said you literally got up I'm doing my makeup, I'm doing my hair, and I'm doing this. Yeah. And she just hit the camera, and look at how many lives you were able to impact in such a short time just by stepping out and God filling you up so that you can pour it out. And He filled you up. And I love how He's been sending you help too. You see, as soon as you connected with Him, all of your help came.
Yes, I'm just overwhelmed with joy. And I'm just thankful God is moving in my life, and I'm documenting everything along the way. So I know God is going to do so much more, not only for me, but just for millions of other moms out there.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to see everybody tune in so you can see the glory of God.
And I love too that you, even the girls, you brought the girls with you, and I love that. And so God's building their community of more people too, and expanding them as well.
Thank you.
Amen. And you're a breastfeeding mom on top of that.
Yes.
And that's total commitment. And that is commendable, because you're putting your family first, but you literally are finding that there's purpose and passion and things you can do while you're building their family and your children. God is using you to help build other families and motivate other people. I love that. Where can they find you, too?
Christian Mommy Millionaires on all platforms.
Tell them your name so they can follow you.
Chantel Williams. But you can definitely find me, Christian Mommy Millionaires, everywhere. I just made everything really simple. I tried to. And thank you, Prophetess Taryn. I cannot thank you so much. You're my superwoman. I can go on and on. Thank you for having me, letting me bring my kids, just for guiding me. And helping me is helping a lot of people, helping millions of people. So I'm just excited to keep learning and growing in God never before. I'm so excited. I'm sorry.
If I had not gotten on a one-on-one with you, I wouldn't even know. But if I hadn't lived through it, I wouldn't have even have it to give. So it's each one, teach one, like you said, and inspire to inspire. So I've been able to inspire others only because I literally have gone through it, and I'm like, oh, this too shall pass. So what message do you want to give the audience? And please tell them how to reach you and find you. And where can we find your book, Fatherless? Where is it on Amazon or?
It's on Amazon right now, Barnes & Nobles, but they can get us on our website, www.prolifickingdom.com.
ProlificKingdom.com.
And that's across all social media as well.
Also,
Prolific Kingdom.
ProlificKingdom.com. Before we get ready to close, what message would you like to send?
I would like to tell people, stay hopeful. Don't get distracted by what the bad stuff that you see. Stay in the spirit realm. There's so much amazing things that are happening. Where you see sin seems like it's abounding, grace is much more abounding. And God is preparing the whole world for a revival like we've never seen before.
Absolutely.
God literally put the whole world on a fast. Isaiah 58. This is the fast that God has chosen for the whole world. And God has done that because of his mercy.
Yeah.
He's made the whole world slow down. He's knocked down all of our idols, and he says, hey, get your eyes back on me. Come back to what's important. Slow down.
Isn't it beautiful?
And now we can hear his voice. He's turned down the volume of every other thing in our life. So now we can hear God's voice. So now let's give God time. Pay attention to his voice and give God time.
I believe it's such a time as this that the Lord is really raising up his people. And while people are saying, it's a time of decline, this is a time of increase.
Exactly.
It's a time,
Yes.
it's our season for grace and his favor to shine in our life. And all those seeds that we've been sowing, we shall reap in the season. And that's what I'm seeing. That's why I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people are like, I hate 2020. I'm like, I love 2020.
Exactly.
Yes. It's like, great. Everything is happening. Like, it caused me, look, this situation caused me to provide all these workshops for people that I would have never done.
Wow.
And we did this marriage seminar for 8 weeks to teach people how to really invest in, and we gave them certifications. We baptized people just last month, and we have next week another baptismal. We've been pulling in men and women and pulling back families. It's been so exciting. So this is a time of grace and favor, and it's a time for fatherless to get out there and return back to the hearts of the Father. So make sure you guys go and get their book, because it's in Barnes & Nobles. It's also on Amazon, but you guys can go to Prolific Kingdom all across the social media boards and find them. In addition to that, I expect great things out of you, young lady. I'm so happy to have you, Chantel Williams. I think highly of you. You are an inspiration. You have a voice. You have family. You are supported. You are cherished. And where you're at right now matters. And I just love your heart for the Lord and how you've grown in things of God. And I'm just speaking mighty blessings and grace and favor over everything that you're doing. And may God already granted your million mothers are touched and million mothers saved. And you also have made them also millionaires in the process. And I thank God for you and who you are. So you've heard it right here. We have been talking about returning to the heart of the Father. Our nation coming back to a place where we know who God is and what he's called us to do. In spite of everything that's going on, this is your season for your grace and for his favor to shine into your life. I am Prophetess TNT, Taryn N Tarver. You are watching Supernatural Lifeline Revelations, and we've had these wonderful guests today. Make sure you check them out, and you can go to my website, lifelinetnt.org, and we can have one-on-ones. We can connect you with all of our people, but most importantly, remember that your timeline, it can be somebody else's lifeline. Please tag, share, and invite. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.